Okay, all boys and girls, today we'll be talking about animal skins. Now, how many of you love animals? I'm sure a lot of us do. All right, so where are some places that we can go to look at animals? There's animals at the zoo, or maybe at an aquarium, or even at our own home. So there's a lot of animals that we could see around our neighborhoods, maybe like a cat or a dog. So, what kind of animals do you all see at home? So, right here are some pictures of what we what animals are seen at home. Maybe some of you might have a rabbit or a dog, maybe even a cat or a chicken. Who has seen a chicken at home? I know I have when I was a little kid. I used to see chickens all the time. But these animals are different in some ways. I want everyone to touch their skin. Now, who feels hair on their skin? Yeah, all these animals have hair, or they have other things that cover themselves to keep them warm. We're going to talk about each of these animals and how they are covered and what helps them to keep them warm and what makes them so different, just like how we humans are different. Each of us have different colored hair or different colored skin. These animals have different coverings. So that the first thing we're going to talk about is hair or fur. See, there's a picture of a bear, and you can just picture in your head that the fur or hair on a bear is probably soft and short and fluffy. So let's look at other animals that have the similar hair. Okay, so we talked about earlier what pets are seen at home that have fur. One of them can be the dog or a puppy. Other animals that maybe are in the wild or maybe you see at the zoo is an elephant. Who knew that an elephant had hair or fur? Yeah, elephants actually have small pieces of hair all over themselves, just like us humans. You probably have to look closely at their skin, just like we do on our arms. That's the same thing with elephants. Another animal that you see here is a mouse. They're small creatures, but they too have fur or hair, and it's all the purpose to keep them all warm. All right, now let's move on to something else, another type of covering that animals have. It's called scales. Now, a scale is a rough type of skin. If everyone looks at their finger, that's probably the size of a scale, or it could be smaller or bigger. This picture that I have here is a scale of a snake. And you can see that snakes are probably covered in these scales. But let's look at some animals. You can see a lizard. A lizard has tiny little scales, but their skin is rough. If ever you have touched a lizard, their skin is rough, but it's made of scales. Another one that's probably we know of is a fish. These type of fishes live in the ocean, and they're covered in scales. Their whole body is covered in scales. And then we also have a picture of the snake. So these are some types of animals that have scales. All right, let's try and move on to the next one. A feather. Now, what type of animals have a feather? That's right, a bird. I can see there's all types of birds. There's a peacock, an owl, a rooster. Earlier we had a chicken. So these type of all birds have feathers, and they too keep them warm in the winter. or maybe in the evenings, they have feathers to protect themselves. And it's great because all of them are colorful and beautiful. So we can tell a bird by the colors, the outside of their feathers. Plus, it also helps them to fly. But that's a different thing that we can talk about. But feathers are very special and unique to birds. The next thing is a shell. Now, how many of you have been to the beach or the ocean? Yeah, I love the ocean. And you'll see that there are all types of shells, but there also help animals to be protected. The first picture is of clams, which we hardly may not be able to see a lot of clams anywhere, but inside is an animal that, and the shell helps to protect them. A animal that we may see outside in our yard or after it rains is a snail, and they too have a shell to protect them. If you touch a snail, what does it do? It hides in the shell, so it's stay protected. So these are some types of animals. Now we're gonna just look at some pictures of animals, and I want you to tell me what type of animal covering each one has. So let's start with the pig. The pig has a fur. A frog has scales. A parrot has feathers. And a crab has a shell. The next one has a horse. A horse has hair or fur. Then we have a fish that has scales. We have an ostrich, which is a bird, and it has a lot of feathers. And of course, we have the snail again to protect himself with a shell. So these are all types of animals that will help us to know and learn what types of animals are around us in our homes, in the zoo, or whenever we go out and play. So it will help us to know what these animals are covered in. So I want you to go home and go outside and look at what types of animals you can see. It might not be a fish, but you can look at the birds or dogs or cats or other types of animals that have those type of animal coverings. And maybe you can have a parent help you as well. But this is our lesson that we can learn about the animals that are around us and what type of covering they